this month's webinar on effective presentations. Most interactions that you have with an individual concerning your card are going to be a presentation, whether you realize it or not. Some examples of presentations that you may often make when distributing your card would be face-to-face, phone, and digital. Now, face-to-face presentations can include going door-to-door, group activities or events that you may be sharing your card at, or company presentations. Phone could be follow-up calls, sales calls, or calls from customers who have found your information and are reaching out for more details. And of course, digital is going to contain everything from social media to emails that you may write or communicate with potential customers through. So first, we're going to talk about face-to-face. Now, there are several things that you want to keep in mind when you're having a face-to-face presentation. One of the most important is going to be your speech. You want to make sure that you're maintaining a steady speed, only focusing on key points, and smiling with your voice. These three tactics are proven to help in a sales type situation. Even though your card is free, you still need to make that connection to the customer and let them know that they do need that card to save on their prescriptions. By only focusing on key points, you'll be sure not to overwhelm the individual. Sure, you want to make sure that they get a lot of information, but going into unnecessary details or filler words can make the conversation and presentation go a little bit longer, and you may actually lose the attention of the individual you're trying to reach. Body language. You want to avoid negative body language at all costs. If you're someone like me, you may often do things like cross your arms and not have any negative connotations to it, but to somebody else, that body language can come off as negative and closed off. Flyers. Now, you may not always have access to your flyer or your card when you're making a presentation to an individual face-to-face. If you don't, just be sure to get their contact information so you can follow up later. But if you are lucky enough to have flyers or your cards handy, ensure that they always have your contact information, that they're bright. For example, you don't want to hand out dark printed flyers that are hard to read or have very small font. Having a creative flyer that highlights the key points of the program along with your card information is very handy to hand to someone so they can always fold it up and put it in their wallet to come back to later if the opportunity isn't readily available for them to investigate more. Now, phone conversations. Now, the same thing we just talked about with voice on face-to-face presentations goes hand in hand here. You want to make sure that you're smiling with your voice, speaking at a steady pace, and enunciating properly. Now, this may take some practice to make sure that you get your phone voice down properly so individuals can clearly understand you the first time when you're calling to speak. You also want to focus on your length of call to make sure that it's not going too long or make sure it doesn't seem too rushed. You want to ensure that you're respectful of an individual's time, whether you're calling them or they're calling you. If you are calling them, you can ask things such as, is this a good time? To be upfront about potential call lengths and also to know if you need to reschedule or to call back later. And politeness. This goes hand in hand with all of the presentation methods we're talking about, but especially when you're speaking to someone. Use courtesies when applicable, sir, ma'am, and avoid using any slang words. And of course, it goes without saying, you never, ever, ever want to use derogatory words or curse words. Digital presentations. Use proper graphics when applicable. Always include an image of your card as well. By including an image of your card on the front page of wherever you're marketing digitally, this allows individuals to get that information without having to go down a trail or a rabbit hole of hyperlinks or having to save other information. Now, of course, if they want to go ahead and go to your site and get the card, they certainly can, but by putting it in two places and increasing the availability of it, you're definitely going to see that you'll get cards into more individuals' hands. Don't overwhelm. Once again, we spoke about this earlier. You want to make sure that you offer key points and are providing a good deal of information, but you want to make sure that you're not overwhelming or including a lot of text that has to be read. Always use a spell checker and proofread what you're posting. If you're not a very good proofreader of your own work, it may be a good idea to have a friend or family member take a look over things for you. They can also offer other tips. For example, if they think something needs to be a little bit brighter, or you don't need a specific section of your graphic or your advertisement. It's always great to get second opinions. And of course, insert hyperlinks if possible. This allows the customer just to have to make one or maybe 2 clicks to get to where you want them to go. Now, some final thoughts. Practice speaking in the mirror or with a friend. If you're practicing with a friend, you can always ask for a critique. But you'll find that practicing in front of the mirror is still a great method to work on your speaking voice, your body language, and your overall tone. Use writing tools when applicable. There are several free programs out there that will help with your digital marketing and print marketing in the form of your presentations. A great deal of these are free and will really make your writing a lot easier when you're trying to write out effective presentations or marketing material. And finally, test what works and what doesn't. For example, if you find that you're not closing a lot of deals, so to speak, by using a specific presentation when speaking to new people, try changing it up a bit. Maybe you need to delete a certain section, or maybe you need to add another highlight to that to catch people's attention. Sometimes it takes a little bit of testing to determine exactly what is going to be successful in your marketing presentations. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your month.